Thank you for joining us this weekend. It's been a while.
I know it's been ages, isn't it? I don't think when was I there? Was it like 4 years ago, something like that? Was it? I can't remember.
Yeah, I think you were the last Gdex at Kazooie, so that would have been 4 years ago.
Right. Wow.
2016, yeah.
Yeah, it sounds
Um,
like it.
which is actually kind of funny because I looked up your IMDb just to see, because you're always into interesting stuff. Every time I text you, you're doing something cool. But before we get too deep into it, do you want to give a little background about who you are and what you do?
My name is Grant Kirkhope. I'm a composer, allegedly. Started at Rare in 1995. I guess I did Banjo Kazooie and Donkey Kong 64, Perfect Dark, Goldeneye, that kind of stuff. Then I shifted to America in 2008, did Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning. Then on to moved to LA in 2012. Started freelancing and did things like Civilization Beyond Earth and Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle and ukulele and the Ghostbusters and Drop Zone and that's what I've done. Things I can't talk about, of course. A couple of some bits and pieces of movie stuff, and yeah, that's me.
Yeah, I always like how you're just like, oh yeah, I worked on some stuff with Rare, back in the day, and that was like the foundational games for like everyone in this room. So, um, I actually started cleaning up some of my old game stuff. I've got Super Nintendo games, N64 games. Perfect Dark is one of them that I've got staring at that box, and I was like, oh, I should have you sign that.
I've actually still got Perfect Dark for the Xbox.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
So, since the last time you were here, we have ukulele, which was a pretty exciting sort of return to form for the old Banjo Kazooie style games. Mario plus Rabbids, which I actually am at like halfway through. That must have been pretty cool, just working on with Nintendo properties again after so long. Like, what was that like?
That was super surreal, really. I got like an email through LinkedIn, like you never get anything through LinkedIn, right? It's just a waste of time.
Yeah,
And
totally.
it came from Gianmarco Zanna, who's the producer of Ubisoft Milan. And it's very polite. So, dear Mr. Kirkhope, we've got a game we think you could be a good fit for. Would you be interested? And I was like, well, sure, let me know what it's about. So it took a little while to get the NDA sorted out. And they finally sent it to me, and it sort of said it was called Rabbids Kingdom Battle. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. My kids watched the Rabbids, cartoon, and I thought they were I thought they were funny. I feel like they kind of predated the Minions, really. They've got that really craziness about them.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that kind of went on, and they said, well, look, we're going to fly out to Paris, and the guys from Milan will meet in Paris. It was like Paris, and you can meet from America and meet there. So that's kind of arranged for about, I think, April. I forget what year that was, 2015 maybe. So I got there, and they kind of met me at the foyer, very formal, Mr. Kirkhope, nice to meet you. They kind of led me through the back of the studio, and there's quite a few security doors that I thought was a bit weird for a Rabbids game, because everyone knows who the Rabbids are, right? So I got to the dev team at the back of the building, and then I got escorted to another side room where Davide Soliani, who was the creative director, and Romain Brio, I can't pronounce it, it's Romain, but I think it's pronounced Romain. Anyway, Romain Brio, the early director, was there. And sat in the little room. I was very jet lagged, and Davide turned the TV on. Sort of Mario was stood there, and I was like, oh, and perhaps I'd been playing a Mario game before I got there. Been a bit bored. I was a bit late, Anyway, so Davide said, I'd like to show you the game. So he starts moving Mario around, and I said, well, what's this? He said, what's a Mario game? Did no one tell you that? And I was like, no. Like at that point, I just absolutely, practically had a heart attack thinking, oh my God, how on earth am I going to write music for a Mario game when Koji Kondo is the legend master and I'm just a mere Padawan compared to that man? How am I going to do it? So I was kind of equal parts scared, equal parts excited. And David said I sat quiet for the first hour as I talked about the game, and they all thought I didn't like the game. I was just panicking inside so much, thinking that I wasn't good enough to do it. So that was a bit of a revelation, getting to do that is still, I still look back at that and think, I can't believe I did a Mario game, it's amazing.
So, you had no idea going into it. You were totally caught off guard that you're going to be involved in Mario?
Yeah, no one told me that. The game was called Rabbid Kingdom Battle, and I was thought it was a Rabbid game, that was it.
That's awesome. So I'm going to ask you a question, because you bring this up a lot, but we talk about this like idea of imposter syndrome. And you just mentioned it, how you didn't think you were good enough to do this game, but I mean, you have quite a prolific career in lots of different games. Like, how do you sort of, you personally, get over that sort of sensibility and you just get down and get to work, or?
I don't know. I don't think I did get over it. I think that I never think I'm good enough for any game, really. I always think there's people better than me. You know, when I try to avoid listening to other video game composers because they're all so brilliant, and it just makes me think, why do I bother? I should just give up. Because they're all fantastic, and I just think they're so inventive, and I just feel like I'm just an old relic that can't write music anymore. So I feel like I'm constantly in that cycle of thinking I'm not good enough. I think I'm only ever 75% happy with what I do, really, ever.
Yeah. Isn't that just like? Isn't that just like the artistic process, though? Is like you're never 100% on whenever you do anything.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose maybe it keeps me on my toes. You know, and I just try and, you know, play the first note and then play the next note and then just gradually just keep going. You know, I feel like I'm not a really very intellectual composer. I just kind of mess around until I like it. And I just load up a French horn or a clarinet or a bassoon or whatever it is, or a synthesizer, and just mess around until I like the sound of it, find a chord so you can find a little melody that I like, and then start building on that. You know, so my process hasn't changed at all since 1995 when I started. It's exactly the same.
When you're doing something like, I'm just going to keep on a Mario Rabbids thing, because, you know, Nintendo is sort of known for being very, they have their things that they like and they're kind of structured. Like, how much time do you have to mess around with a project before it's like time to get down to business? Or do they influence a lot of your sort of creative decisions, or did you get some free will?
So because it was Ubisoft Milan, I didn't really deal with Nintendo directly.
Okay.
So anything they would pass anything that I did onto Nintendo to okay it. But quite honestly, that game was so big, and I wrote like 2.5 hours of music. I didn't really have a lot of time to mess around with stuff. I just had to get on with it. I really wrote something for that game every day for 2.5 years, maybe 3, or whatever it was. I wrote something for that game every single day, whatever it was. So I didn't have an awful lot of time to think about it. I feel like the first piece, which was Ancient Gardens, I think I did, that took a little bit of time to kind of, till the guys thought it fitted. And after that, it was like, whoosh, we're off. There was no messing around at that point. So the only real contact with Nintendo I had was when Davide Soliani and Romain Brio decided it would be great to revisit the castle theme from Super Mario 64, which I love that theme. You know?
Yeah.
I remember when we were at Rare, we all got given N64s when it just came out, and the IT team there converted all the N64s to those RGB SCART sockets for UK TVs, and we all got I think Wave Race and Mario 64, you know, for free and kind of thing. So I mean, that was the first game that we all played, and we all loved it to death. You know, it was so fantastic. And so for me to go, you know, can you know, somehow reuse Koji Kondo's amazing theme from that game for Peach's Castle in Mario Rabbids? I was like, another instance of thinking, how am I going to do this? You know, he's such a fantastic piece of music, I'm just going to ruin it. You know, my kids are going to speak to me ever again. Not going to speak to me that much anyway these days. But I mean, so that was a big deal, and I was trying to think, how am I going to do this? I cut it into bits. So I had a bit of Koji, a bit of me, a bit of Koji, a bit of me, and I knew that he'd have to listen to it, or the sound team would have to okay it. So I just sent it off into the ether and waited for a reply, and they liked it. So I was pretty lucky with that one. And also, I did orchestrate some of the classic Mario little stinger ditties, you know, like the Game Over one, which is that one.
Yeah.
So I orchestrated that we recorded it with a live orchestra, and that had to go to Nintendo. And they wrote to me, you know, and Nintendo are very polite, you know, people. And Mr. Kirkhope, we love your rendition of the Mario Game Over theme, but I mixed up a couple of the harmonies in the wrong register, and I did it by ear. And I said, well, could you just please correct this little bit? And they sent me the sheet music to that little ditty. And that was one of those moments I was kind of going, oh my God, this is Mario's Game Over theme in score form, you know, written out, you know, for me to. And I just thought that was one of those amazing moments. And just you kind of pinch yourself and go, I'm working on a Mario game. You know, that was amazing.
That's awesome. Yeah, I could imagine seeing like the pure form of one of the most classic video game themes would be pretty sweet. So just jumping back real fast, you mentioned a couple of composers. You don't listen to other composers because they're too brilliant, but are there some working right now that you really kind of appreciate or respect, or do you collaborate with other composers at all?
So I do listen to MIDI composers. Well, I say MIDI composers, probably John Williams. That's probably about it. Because I guess like every composer in the world, they idolise John Williams, so I'm no different to anybody else. I just think he's absolutely amazing, and I kind of find his scores like my textbook for learning. So when I was doing Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning, that game over 4 years we did that game, a long time, and I listened to the first 3 Harry Potter soundtracks, which are the ones that he did. In the car on the way to work and back from work every single day for 4 years, no exaggeration. I never listened to anything else apart from those 4 scores to try and learn what he was doing. So, video game scores wise, I don't even know what's going on, to be honest with you, really, really out there. I mean, I know who people are, and I've got friends who obviously with video game composers, but I don't listen to any of the stuff particularly. I might have a quick listen to the main theme here and there. But it's not like I don't think they're good. I think they're all fantastic. It just depresses me that they're good and I'm not good enough, really. That's what the basic premises of all that. I try to avoid it, so if I listen to it, I just give up.
You just give up.
So I have maybe a fun question for you, Ben. You say you really like John Williams. I think everyone likes John Williams. To my knowledge, he's never done any video game soundtracks. What would a John Williams soundtrack to you for a video game, like, what would that be? Like, I can't even begin to imagine.
It would be that kind of glistening thing that he does. Like, there's a video on YouTube somewhere, and it goes through the Harry Potter. I'll keep Harry Potter as an example. It goes through the Harry Potter scores in chronological order, and it shows how the scoring changed as it went along. And the first 3 are so rich. They're really rich in lots of ornamentation. It's tingly. It's it's all not tingly. It's glockenspiels and celestes and all stuff going on all over the place. And as the scores went on, they just stopped. After you stopped doing it, they weren't that anymore, right? They just didn't contain those great melodies, that great way, his ornamentation like that. So I feel like a video game, if he did a video game, it would be really ornamented, with a lot of tinkling going on, and just that thing that he does. He's got. I feel like John Williams has just got like. There's a magic in his music, and I mean it like the actual magic was real. He's got that. There's something in his music that's magical. There's always a sense of wonder in it. All the big stuff that he does. And I miss that in music these days. I don't find it to be out there as much as it used to be. It may be I'm just old-fashioned and people don't like it anymore. That's completely possible, unlikely. But I just feel like John Williams is like 88, whatever he is, and when he goes, I feel that's the last of that generation will be gone. There's nobody left after him that does that like that. No, there's not a single person left. So I feel like that will be. Obviously, I hope he doesn't die, for God's sake. But I think when he does finally, on his way out, that will be a super sad day for me. I feel that thing will be gone.
Yeah, no, I totally feel that. I'm a music composing novice, so don't listen to me. But I feel like John Williams is very similar to how I remember Nirvana talking about their music, where they would take sort of the simplicity of the Beatles and then crunch it into their own form. John Williams, like, they just have all these memorable things because, like, the catch is simple, right? The music, the composition's not simple, don't get me wrong, but the takeaways, like, you can whistle the Jurassic Park theme or whatever, and like these things stick with you, and I think that's to be able to do that time and time again over the course of 50 plus years now is pretty
at least
pretty phenomenal.
But like, I kind of feel like, there's the video, another one on YouTube that's sort of, it's some guy going on the street with a mic saying, can you whistle the Harry Potter theme? Can you whistle Star Wars? Can you whistle Jaws even? Or Indiana Jones? And everybody can go, yeah, straight away. Can you whistle Captain America?
Yeah, no. I think that was Every Frame a Painting, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think, it's like, can you whistle, any of the Marvel themes? And no one, apart, I guess the Avengers, I find that's catchy, but no one can whistle it. It's a bit like, you've got the biggest franchise in the world. It's full of fantastic movies. And people are hard pushed to remember a single note. Mm-hmm. Now, that may be what composing is like in movies these days. I've done a little bit of it. And I did find that the guy that I worked for was to hear not so much a big tune, fair enough. But like, I miss that. I feel like I want to come out the movie theatre whistling the tune on the way out. I just want to do that. I like doing that. So I miss that part of it. And I feel like, I think Captain America's probably a bit harsh. I feel like Captain America and Avengers, which is Alan Silvestri, who's like obviously one of the old school composers that writes old school tunes, right? That's why I guess it stands out. The rest of the Marvel stuff, I can't remember it. I can remember Spider-Man, Danny Elfman's Spider-Man. I can remember Danny Elfman's Batman, but I can't remember the rest of it. Anybody else's?
Yeah, totally.
So that's just me. I personally miss that. I don't know about anybody else, but I want to hear that tune that I remember forever. That when I hear it, put me back in that moment in theatre when I'm watching that great scene, when it pops up. You know, I love that bit.
That's really interesting because I was I was talking to my friend like 4 days ago about how just movies in general. There's no big big wonderful like Lord of the Rings, these larger world kind of things. You have your Avengers, but that's a much different experience than like Lord of the Rings are. Or even Harry Potter is very similar, where you have this large, wonderful place you can explore. It's kind of giving you this journey sensation. So maybe that's just sort of where all things are kind of going as well. I got a question for the audience real fast before we get too far, because this was kind of going back to working with Nintendo again, but how was it working with the Smash Bros. Team to create a song for Banjo-Kazooie's inclusion into the game?
So that was cool. So Davide Soliani is a creative director at Milan Ubisoft. Messaged me to say, Nintendo are trying to hold you. Can I pass on your email? I was like, of course you can. You're crazy. Pass it on.
Yeah.
And so I got an email from a guy called Paul Logue, who's actually Scottish like me. He works in Japan at Nintendo HQ. And just said something like, we have a piece of music we'd like you to collaborate on, about 3 minutes in length. Are you interested? It was with that very no details. And I was like, of course, And I started thinking to myself, God, could this actually be Banjo? I really thought it might be Banjo. But then I thought, in Smash Brothers, they've always got all the Japanese guys do the Smash Brothers remixes. And they do such a fantastic job. I thought, why would they want me to do anything? Because they've got lots of great composers who could easily do, better than me. I thought, why would they ask me? I thought so it can't be that. And then I thought maybe it's some kind of Rabbids thing, going to Smash, something like that, maybe something like that. So I finally got the NDA, and that took a while to get back. It went from Nintendo Japan to Nintendo America to my agent to me, and then back to time. Took a little bit of time. And then I finally got the email saying this is Banjo-Kazooie, and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. And so they just said, look, can you just write as a Banjo-Kazooie piece about 3 minutes long, whatever it was, 2 minutes, whatever it was, and whatever you like, do a medley, it's up to you. So I set about doing it, and I just thought, what should I do? And I was trying to think of the one piece that I just thought Spiral Mountain's got to be the one. I don't know why, I just thought it was. So I kind of started from a big orchestral start, and it's like the big orchestral bit at the end was at the start of the piece, and then it went to the banjo instrument thing halfway through. Because they sent me a PowerPoint document that they sent to all the kind of Smash composers, and it sort of said, it's very sort of a big 3 to 4 second intro, get the main theme in there, drop down in the middle somewhere, and then back up for the loop at the end. That's how I like it to be. So I thought, all right, I'll do that. So I did that, sent it off. Mr. Sakurai, his English isn't very good, so Paul was the kind of the translator between the two of us, to get the gist across. And it came back, we like what you're doing, but we'd like to change it. Can you put the banjo bit at the start, so the small bit at the start, and then this go get crazier and crazier and crazier towards the end, with the orchestral stuff.
Yeah.
Which is kind of opposite to what we asked for in the first place. So I did that. And the only thing they kept asking me to do was to reduce the reverb. I think the Japanese taste is like for quite dry music, not very big, or like a Hollywood, like even like in LA, not that kind of big Hollywood sound, but like more of a drier sound. So I did about maybe 10 versions of that tune, but it was mostly just turning the reverb down each time I sent a new version off. And they liked it, and it was great. And then it said to me, by the way, you don't know if you know this, but we are choosing Spiral Mountain as a stage. I was like, oh my God, thank God I did that piece. You didn't tell me that, it was just fantastic. And then I was like, I can't believe it. And then they said to me, you know what, we like your piece so much, we're going to use it for the trailer. And I was like, oh Christ, I couldn't believe that either. That was amazing. So, it started to sink in that, I think I was the only Western composer to ever work on Smash at the time, which was like, I was the only Western composer to work on Mario, and the only Western composer to work on Smash. It was just completely crazy. I kept thinking, why me? Is this just crazy, right? So when it got close to E3, the announcement that did it wasn't E3 before E3, wasn't it? Was it E3? I can't remember. It was at E3, yes it was, wasn't it? Yeah. I said, look, I've got a little tweet. I want to tweet about it. Can I, what can I say? Kind of thing. Like, so well, send us your tweet. You're going to tweet out a little video of me going Banjo Kazooie, we're home, and all that. Sent it off to them. They said, we like it. But only thing we do, don't tweet out until it's live on the Smash website. I feel like they announced it at like 9:40 in the morning, something like that, LA time, PST. So to sit there quiet and my Twitter was just going, going crazy. And to sit quiet till 11 o'clock, till it was like, I started like an hour and a bit, and I just sat there going, and I just couldn't, I was dying to go, yes, it's me. But I mean, those fan reactions to Banjo going to Smash, I just found those so touching and so heartwarming. People went genuinely crazy and cried, and I was sitting here watching it, crying like everybody else was.
Yeah.
It was just one of the moments. I kind of feel like the Banjo fans had waited such a long time to see their character back somewhere that they could do something with it. The outpouring of emotion was amazing. Like, I sat and watched some of the reveal videos, reaction videos a couple of weeks ago, and I got chills all over again, and I cried all over again. Like the Nintendo store, people going ballistically daft there, we launched my Rabbids at the Nintendo store in New York, and so I know that store well. Just seeing them all going absolutely crazy. And seeing Gerard Kalia, my friend, the completionist, just go mad and then cry, and then it was so absolutely genuinely touching. And I talked to the Nintendo guys at the booth, I said, is that the kind of reaction you get from, Smash characters going in generally? And they said, well, it was pretty much bigger than most things. They said, well, we thought it'd be big, but it was a lot bigger than we thought. People went so absolutely daft with it. So that was one of those special. I think doing a Mario game. Those are two special moments in my life I'll never forget.
Yeah, I can't. I'm trying to rack my brain for a Smash Bros. Introduction that had so much hype before it and so much excitement after it, and I can't think anything just off the top of my head. Like, I mean, we hadn't really seen Banjo Kazooie in anything for so long, and that's pretty amazing. Like, again, I think just from my perspective, getting to know you over the past 4 or 5 years or whatever, like, you've become a sort of personality within these things. I don't think you're not trying to be like a personality or anything, but like, people know you, and they know you by name a lot of times, and they associate you with both your work and these characters. And so when you're involved in stuff, like, it doesn't surprise me at all that you would be the first Western composer to work on this project, because your name is out there as like the guy. You are Banjo Kazooie, and you are like
it's weird. It's sort of weird because I guess I'm just the most visible member of the team, right? I mean, other team members are out there, like Greg Mayles and Steve Mayles, Ed Bryan, Will Bryan, Chris Sutherland. They're all out there, I don't know why I seem to get to be the focus of it. I don't know why that is. I think, honestly, genuinely, like, when I first had a Twitter account, whenever I started, 2009, I didn't anticipate having any followers. Maybe my family, that's about my friends, that's about it. So, like, I've got 90,000, I don't know, whatever. It's like, it's a bit crazy to me that I've got that. And I don't like that kind of ego thing. I've never liked that. I kind of shy away from that. I just try to be me. I want to be normal Grant. I'm just a bloke that writes tunes for a living. That's what I do, right?
Yeah.
And I don't like, I've met quite a few arrogant people, composers, especially living in LA, that I think it's just unnecessary. There's no need to be like that. Just be a normal person like everybody else.
Well, I think that's one of the charming things about you. Like, the first time we brought you to Gdex, you gave me your cell phone number. I text you random times, and you're accessible, and it's rare in certain industries to have that sort of accessibility with somebody. So that might be a part of it. I got a couple.
Maybe, I just think that it's. I find it massively humbling that people want to take an interest in what I do, and I like to have a laugh on Twitter with people, and I don't mind messing around, and I like to do that. I just think it's funny, and so you do get the odd arsehole who also go at you. Everybody gets that, and I just block them, and it gets a bit pain in the arse and all that, But generally speaking, anybody that interacts with me on Twitter are the best natured. We have a good laugh, and I can take the piss out of it, and I can take it, And I feel like that's how I like it to be. I like it to be just like a normal You meet someone on the street and have a chat. I like it like that.
Yeah, totally. I've got a question here from our guests. Did your first two instruments of guitar and trumpet give you the ear for ska that sometimes breaks into things like Mario and Rabbids?
I don't know really. I never really played in a ska band, but so I am putting together finally my Banjo Kazooie remix album. I've done it myself. I think everyone's done it except me. I thought I'm going to do it, so I'm kind of halfway through it. I'm doing it slowly, but my 3 Juicy Peaks is a ska piece. I've done it as ska.
Nice.
So I've had a bit of a laugh with it. You know, I remember being back in the UK, I guess in the 80s when ska was big, and I was playing in like a rock band and a kind of soul funk band on trumpet, rock band on guitar. So I wasn't really the biggest fan of it. But I'm always slow to things. I like music years later. So I really like ska now, but I didn't like it at the time. Like I really like Nightwish now, and I never used to like Nightwish, but I love Nightwish. I'm always a bit late to the ball. I don't know why. I'm just slow to pick new things up.
I want to ask you because this was unfortunate, but we had the passing of Van Halen. You posted an image of you two, so you had some interactions with him, right?
Yeah. So when I played for Little Angels, the UK rock band, I was a trumpet player for them. They're friends of mine for years, and they got a record deal, and we started playing in the horn section, me and the sax player. And we did a 6-week tour as an opening act for Van Halen around Europe. It was fantastic. I mean, as me as a guitar player, for God's sake, I couldn't believe I was going to get to meet Eddie Van Halen, and he was so nice to us. Like everyone says he was a genuinely nice guy. And my experience was he was a genuinely nice guy. He'd take time to chat. He'd spend tons of time in the dressing room with us, talking any old shit. It was fantastic. And me to get to meet him like that and get to know him was just amazing. It's a bit of a long story, sort of, with all this. I don't know if I've got time to. Do you want to hear this whole long story?
Yeah, we got time. This is your show.
All right. I've never told this story before, so it's the first time I've ever told this story. So I was playing with Little Angels, and we did a Radio 1 live broadcast for the BBC, right? And the manager of Little Angels said to me, Grant, Robert Plant of Led Zeppelin fame is looking for a guitar player. Do you know anybody? And I was like, hang on a minute, I can do it. He said, no, Grant, you're too metal. You want a nice blues player. And I was kind of pissed that he didn't think I could play the blues. So after that studio session, I went home, and I got a backing track of a Stevie Ray Vaughan track, and I just played my solo over it. Sent it off to the manager, Kev, the manager. Said, look, I can play the blues. How about this? And he goes, well, yeah, I've already played that. That's fantastic. So he passed it on to Robert Plant. This is totally true. He called me up and said, Grant, he said, Plant likes it. He said, he's going to give you a call. And I was like, oh yeah, I believe it. 5 minutes later, Robert Plant was on the phone. He says, God's honest truth. And I was like, oh my God, I'm talking to Robert Plant,
Yeah.
How are you doing? And he was like, Grant, love the thing, it's going to be great. We play great, we're going to do a big tour, it's going to be about a year long. We played about 1 million people, we've got a private jet, filled my head full of all this amazing stuff. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to go and play guitar for Robert Plant, this is fantastic. So, unbeknown to me, I think on the album, the guitar player was called Francis Dunnery. He played for a band called It Bites in the UK. You might have heard of them over here, but they're quite a big band in the UK. And he didn't want to do the tour, and so Plant was looking for a guitar player, but he really wanted Francis to do it. So I never heard any more. After that conversation, I'm thinking I'm going to go on to play with Robert Plant. So I've got an AC-34, you to bring your Les Paul, it's going to be great. I was thinking, oh, this is going to be amazing. So I never heard a thing after that. And I think that him and Francis came to some agreement, and Francis Dunnery did the tour, and I didn't. So I was mega upset about that. Like, that was a big blow to my, to me. I mean, I was long before I worked at Rare. Anyway, so shortly after that, I found out I got the Van Halen tour about a few weeks later. So I was like, I was so depressed. I mean, I can't tell you how depressed it was. And to get to go on that tour and to meet Eddie, for him to be nice to me, it kind of saved my life. Like, it really did. Like, he was the nicest man. And just, to give me a guitar, like, just ridiculous, right? So after that picture was taken in Paris, actually, at Paris gig. And he said, Grant, can I have a word with you, please? I thought, oh God, I've done something wrong. Maybe I shouldn't have taken a picture and all that. And he took me to a room by myself and he shut the door. I thought, oh God, what's going to go on here? He said, Grant, look, he said he didn't know I played guitar, right? He said, I'm really sorry about not knowing you played guitar. So look, I've got a guitar coming for you. I'm going to give you it at Wembley Arena in London. And I was like, oh my God. I said, Eddie, quite honestly, I'd be happy with a plectrum from you. You'd have to get me a guitar. He said, no, I've got your guitar coming. And he kissed me, right? He just kissed people. He's very affectionate like that. I was just like floating on cloud 9 going, one, I've just been kissed by Eddie Van Halen. 2, he's going to give me a guitar. It saved my existence, that tour. because it means something. London, he turned up and he gave me the guitar. It was fantastic, and like, you know, so many little events on that 6 weeks of Van Halen tour that just talking to him, I just spent as much time with him as I could because I just thought I'm never going to get to talk to Paul ever again. This is he's my hero as a guitar player. He's the god that I worship, you know. I got him to sign stuff for me and just whatever I could think of to talk to him, just talk about stuff, you know. So that was super special for me, that Van Halen tour. And for him dying the other day was very upsetting for me. You know, I haven't seen him since, or talked to him since, but I just remember what he did. He didn't know how he kind of saved my life, but he did. You know, so that was anyway. That's my long Robert Plant, Eddie Van Halen story. So it's completely true. But yeah, that's why I'm very upset about him dying. And I have the guitar. I have it right here. My pride and joy.
Wow.
Eddie Van Halen guitar.
That is awesome.
That's it. So my pride and joy.
Dude, that's an amazing story.
It's true, totally true. I mean, you know, one, get Robert Plant on the phone was amazing, but two, get to meet Eddie was fantastic as well.
Yeah, I think that sort of wraps around to something I try to talk about, like a Gdex and stuff. But you never know, like, what impact you have on other people, and you know, he had a tremendous impact on you, which is translated into you having a tremendous impact on other people. So that's an awesome story, man. Thanks for telling it.
Yeah, I do think that that's a very good point. You never know, that chance conversation you have with somebody on email or on Twitter or whatever, it can change people's life. You know, if I could tweet to John Williams and say, "Hey John, I think you're great," and he goes, "Cheers, Grant," I'd probably keep that tweet forever, you know.
Yeah.
Just the fact he said cheers, Grant, to me. You know what I mean? I think that, so I do really try to reply to everybody on Twitter that they want to talk to me. I try my hardest to reply to people, or at least to know I've read it. And I do read every tweet. I really try hard to do that. And I kind of feel like if I could tweet to somebody that I really admired, for them to just to acknowledge me would be amazing. And I'm not by any means a superstar. No way. But I really feel that.
Awesome. Let's grab a question here. Let's see. So this is a more tips and tricks kind of question about changing and altering music depending on players' actions and scenarios.
So that was easy in the Banjo Kazooie days because it's all MIDI files. It's very easy. Now it's all stereo waves. It's trickier. I did it in ukulele. It just depends on the programmers on the game if they can do it for one, and if your engine can put up with it. I think that if you're using Wise or Fmod, it's probably going to be all right. If you're just going to use the bare Unity or bare Unreal, probably not that easy, or maybe even impossible to do it. Because you have to, you've got to think about if you're running a stereo wave, you want to, because you're going to be running. If you say you've got like 5 versions of the tune, they've all got to run together, or at least be running virtually. So the engine's not actually playing it; it's keeping track of where they are. So when you want to fade to the next wave, the next version of the tune that's running concurrently to a different version, you've got to crossfade those 2 pieces of music. And the minute you start crossfade, you instantly double your memory footprint, right? So it's 2 waves instead of 1. Mm-hmm. So there's all those kind of stuff like that you got to think about. But that's how you do it. It's not particularly amazingly hard to do it. It's just like it's probably technically difficult, or like as a composer, it's easy. I think it's easy to work it out. But it's just that thing where you can do, like in Banjo Kazooie, you got Mr. Vile, and you can make the tune go faster and faster and faster. You can't do that with a stereo wave. You just got Mickey Mouse, don't it? You can't pitch bend it up; it doesn't work. It just doesn't sound the same. So, there's things like that. If you want to jump to another piece of music at any point, you've got to write little link bars. So you've got transition bars. So like, you have to go through the whole piece and work out what every bar contains chord-wise. So if you want to jump at bar 3 to something that's A major, if that's D major, it's going to be all right because it's D to A, great, but it might be in another key. So you might have to write a little transition bar that goes from D to something else, then to the key you want to go to. So it can get massively technical like that. But it's completely possible. It just depends if you've got the time to do it and the will to do it.
Yeah. I'm kind of curious. So PlayStation, the new PS5, Sony's really pushing their new audio system. Have you messed around with that at all, or do you know anything about their new surround sound, multi-channel audio thing they're really pushing?
I have no kind of dealings with that anymore. I just write music and hand it off. Like when I worked at Rare, I was hands-on in the engine doing stuff, like with it was the Xbox Creation 2 Alexa back then.
Okay.
And I used Fmod when we were doing Kings of Amalur. But after that was it for me, because I went freelance. I didn't need to be able to do that anymore. I just hand off what they ask for. So if they ask for a looping piece of music, hand off that. They want extra bars, whatever, I just hand it off and they fix it. So I don't have any insight to that. My initial reaction to that would be, let's see it in a game, because it's probably going to be processor intensive. You're going to fight with the programmers about you can't really use that because it's going to, the first few games are going to be too processor intensive. They won't know the engine very well, etc., and the hardware. That's what would be our initial instinct. But who knows, it could work. I just find that usually, from my experience being sat in a dev team, the fancy features often don't get used because they're very processor intensive. Yeah, that's just my experience. It could work fine. Don't forget the N64 could do surround sound. It wasn't like it wasn't that you could do it. It's like it's all possible. You just got more ways, haven't you?
Yeah.
For instance, like things like usually that surround sound thing matters more to sound design than music, because they want to have chucking. All games these days you can play in surround sound right now. And all the sound effects you spin around, they'll come out the rear speakers and all that kind of stuff. So it all works. Music generally just goes, you bleed a bit of the stereo stream to the rear speakers. That's what you usually do in music. But you get things like Gravity, the movie, like Stephen Price had music coming out of speakers all over the place. So you can do that too. So I don't think that's massively technical. I just think you got to write a piece of music and go, this channel's going to go to you're going to write it in 5/1. You're going to do your stems plus your subchannel. So I don't think that's massively amazing. It's been happening for quite a while. I don't know what Sony specifically. I haven't read the specs. I have no idea what they're actually saying. But yeah, if you get it working, great. But a lot of the time, I think people don't. How many people actually play video games on a surround system? Like, I don't think that's a massive percentage of games players. Most games players have got a TV in the bedroom with headphones on, they play games. They're not going to get this surround stuff. I remember when Microsoft and Microsoft bought Rare, they did some kind of survey about gamers playing in surround sound. A lot of people just didn't understand it. They put all the speakers at the front under the TV, or they just enabled it and without the speakers and thought they were in surround sound in stereo. A lot of people just didn't know what it was. So I'd like to know what the percentage of people playing games is that play in surround. I bet it's not that high.
I think it's getting more so because we have a lot more sound design going into sound effects, but I think still the soundtrack or soundtracks that are going into the games are not yet getting that surround sound going.
I sort of share as I say, I sort of share your thoughts, Grant, about let's see it in the game, because Sony's pushing this, and they're saying like most TVs aren't capable of using these new sound systems, which might just be a marketing thing to kind of plug their headphones.
It probably is.
But I'm just kind of curious about if that's going to have an impact on, if not composition, at least sound design, like you said.
Sound effects will be in surround already. Like, they're going to get played in a 3D space, right? So you attach a sound effect to a bird tweeting in a tree. If you've got the extra speakers, when you turn around, it'll shift to the back. It does that. It does that. It's done that for years. It already does that. 10 years longer than that, probably. So that's not special. So I guess my thing is that, like I said before, how many kids have got surround sounds in the bedrooms? You've got to have the speakers set up, right? You've got to have it, or you've got to have surround sound headphones. Yeah. So how many people have got it in the bedrooms? Like, how many people? I don't think it's that high. Because, as a parent, my son's 18, he hasn't got surround sound in his bedroom.
Sure.
He hasn't asked for it. So I kind of feel like we've got a big surround sound system downstairs, and he plays in that sometimes, but most of the time it's actually switching on his PC playing Overwatch or whatever. So which will be in surround, but without the surround system or surround headphones, you're not going to feel it. So I'd love to know how many kids have got a surround sound system off their own in the bedroom.
Yep, I don't even have a full surround sound system in my house.
There you go.
Yeah.
So it's all very well having the tools to do it, which is great, but you have to have the system right. You're not going to hear it.
So we've got one question here that's been on the docket for a while, but how do you feel about doing vocals in video game soundtracks?
Well, singing, you mean?
Yeah.
Or just like all stupid Banjo Kazooie.
I would assume it would be singing and whatnot, but.
Well, I've not got a very good voice, so I don't think I'll be singing. when I did the opera boss in Mario Rabbids, you know, what's his name? Phantom of the Opera. David's idea at first was to do a rap one, a metal one, and an opera one. So I demoed all three of those tracks. I had to sing it so they could hear what it's like. So that he's got those waves, and they are out there. He's put some out there. Some I think people are out there. In fact, on the vinyl release of Mario Rabbids soundtrack, one of the tracks is called "The Phantom of the Grand Tilda," and that's me. That's my demo of the opera track. So if you got the vinyl double album, you'll be able to hear me singing on there. But yeah, so I did that. But I mean, you know, I can sing all right. But I'm not a singer. I was, you know, in the metal bands, I was a guitar player, I'd sing backing vocals, but I never did the main vocals. Yeah, so probably no. If that's an answer to that question.
We did have a viewer, Conquer himself, was asking for you to tell the Simply Red story. I don't know what that story is. If you're
so Conquer himself is Chris Seaver from Rare. He, of course, is Design Conquer. He's an amazing dude. I just can't remember honestly, Chris, I can't remember the Simply Red story. You have to tweet it to me. What's the Simply Red story? You can message me on Twitter now. I'm on Twitter. Message it to me, Chris. I can't remember what that is. But one of my friends, when I was at school, me and my friend both played trumpet, called Tim Kellett, he's called. And he, I'm trying to see if Chris is going to message me now. Tim Kellett ended up being the trumpet player in Simply Red. So that was bizarre that we both went to the Roll On Cosy Music, and Tim ended up being the trumpet, as I say, in that band up until the Stars album. So they were a massive, huge pop band. Still friends with Tim these days. But I can't remember the Simply Red.
So I guess he's pointed out the name Mick or Mike Hucknall.
Yeah, Mick Hucknall was a singer. Like, I don't know what, I can't remember. He's got to tell me what it is. When you found out what the band was called. I still can't remember. Chris is messing. I still can't remember what it was. I'm scratching my head.
Should we just have Chris tell the story? Should we just pipe him in and he can tell the story?
It's probably rude.
Well, Grant...
He said I told him it was an effing S name. I probably did. I guess, something like that. Yeah, I don't think that went down very well. Because at that point, there were stars. And I would never come. I sort of told him, that's right. I sort of said the name, it was a terrible name for a band, and it would never come to anything. Of course, they were gigantic superstars. So that's how wrong I was. He was a strange guy, he really was.
I had one question for you, Grant. And this is actually going back to our kind of rambling discussion about John Williams. I do remember from a number of videos and inputs that I've heard from different composers that they've had interactions with game designers or other companies that are wanting something that sounds like John Williams or something that sounds like the track from, insert big name here. Have you ever had to interact with someone like that who didn't want your original thing, they wanted something else?
I guess I generally get hired to sound like me, I think, most of the time. I think people know what the kind of stuff that I do. I've written a decent gamut of material. I've gone for Civilization and Kingdoms of Amalur and that big kind of epic orchestral thing down to the Banjo Kazooie quirky thing and everything in between. So I feel like I've covered most things in my career. So I think there's not many pieces of music that I sorry, Chris is messing it. I don't think there's many things that I can't get around. There's some things I'm not great at. Like I wouldn't be great at kind of EDM. I'm not good at that. So I probably wouldn't do that. But I think these days, as a media composer that we're all supposed to be, you just get asked to do whatever the person feels like at the time. So you've got to be used to doing it. Like just being good at one kind of music is not going to get you anywhere. You have to be able to ape anything, to be able to get around as many styles as you possibly can. And some people are really hands-on, some people aren't. Like when I did the Civilization music, they basically said, can you just write big, epic, hopeful music, which was fantastic. And live orchestra was brilliant. And Mario Rabbids and Evan Soliani's, and Romain Brio, pretty picky. They like it to be the way they want it to be, which is fine. I mean, I'm the kind of composer that I do like strong direction. I like that. I kind of feel like the worst guy you kind of come along, he kind of goes, you know what, I want you to do music for the game. I don't know what I want it to sound like, but I know it when I hear it. And you're a bit like, well, I could be writing this for the next 50 years. Like that's not good to me. Or someone goes, I want to be like this. here's an example, a John Williams piece, piece from the Matrix or whatever it is, or a movie scene or whatever that happens to be, and you know, and then that's what I like. I like it to be that.
That's me.
You know, it's all going wild. So yeah, like, you know what I mean. So I like people to give me a good idea what they want. I like, you know, sometimes I think composers they don't understand how to communicate with other people to get the point across, or vice versa. And I would say, you know, you've got to find a common ground. So you say to the guy, send me a movie scene or a piece of music that you like that's like it. Then you know you get in the right direction. I think if you try and talk notes and chords and melodies, people aren't going to know what you're talking about. So, you know, find that thing that's common ground that you can both communicate on.
Yeah. So Grant, we only got a couple minutes left. So I want to ask, is there anything coming up that you're allowed to talk about that you're excited about right now that you're working on?
Excited, yes. Talk about no.
Uh-huh.
There's been a few people on Twitter that spotted that I'm going to be on something pretty soon. That kind of did a bit of data mining and found the waves. So that you know, I thought I should probably wait for the proper announcement. But yeah, I've contributed to something that I was very excited about. So that's been really cool. And I'd say some people have already found it. It's already out there. So that's that. I'm working on a good big size game that I'm really excited about doing. I'm about to start. I'm actually doing. There's a movie called Bring Back Goldeneye, which is a British comedy movie. The guy did it a couple of years ago. It's about a fictitious Goldeneye tournament in the north of England, which is where I come from.
Okay.
I'm born in Scotland, but I spent it all like that. It's a funny movie. You should watch it. It's about this kind of weird guy who's a Goldeneye champion of the world, and they bring back the tournament. It's really funny, and he loses and all that. But they're doing a second sequel to it called Bring Back Goldeneye, and I'm scoring the whole movie this time. I didn't do anything on it last time. So the guy does it, James, I forgot his second name, Woodfield, I can't remember his name. Anyway, you'll find it on Twitter. So I'm doing that. That's good, super fun, and I'm kind of doing sort of, you know, I can't get the plot away, but it's a funny comedy, northern humour thing. So I really like doing that. So that'll be coming out, I would think next year, or maybe end of this year. I'm not sure. I'm also doing another movie for the guy that I did, Michael Matteo Rossi. It's called The Handler. I did a movie called Shadows, which is out sometime this year. So that's good. But you can't talk about the game stuff. They never you can't divulge it. They never announce it till it's out. So I'm afraid I can't tell you.
So for some of these movies you mentioned, are these going to be available on streaming and such with COVID and everything, or do you have any idea?
Yeah, so the Shadows is going to be, I think, streaming. I think they're both going to be streaming. And I think it'll be out this year sometime. And then The Handler will be out next year. As a up and coming director I've met called Michael Matteo Rossi, who lives in LA. And he's a big games fan, so we kind of met with, we liked DK64 and Goldeneye, and so that's been a really fortuitous kind of meeting. I like his stuff, and he's a good guy. It's excited to do that. I did that movie last year called, pardon me, The Wrong Rock, which is on YouTube. And that was the guy that directed that. It's called Michael Kaywood. He actually worked at Rare when I was there, although we didn't really communicate at Rare. We didn't know each other very well with different teams. And he's since moved to LA, and he's worked on Pirates of the Caribbean and Planet of the Apes and gigantic movies like that, Bumblebee, and he does his own stuff. So he did a movie called, it's a 14-minute animation. It's super high quality. He's worked at Pixar all over the place. He's a fantastic guy. He said to me, we hooked up on Facebook, so we both live in LA and all that, we should get together. He said, I've got a movie going, do you want to score it? I was like, of course I do. So I'll say it's called The Wrong Rock. It's 14 minutes long. It's on YouTube, and I guarantee if you watch it, it'll brighten your day. It's a lovely little, fantastic little animation. And there's no talking in it, so the music carries all the stuff. So if you go and watch it, I guarantee it will brighten your day.
All right. Yeah, I'll definitely check that out. All right. So anything else you want to let folks know about that you're doing right now? Anything you want to spread the word on? That's it.
Just staying at home, staying in, and not going out. I mean, my life as a composer hasn't changed really. I mean, I used to sit in this room and compose music anyway, and go and get the kids from school and get the groceries, right? And that's just the same. The kids are out of school, but I'm getting the groceries. So my life's not changed a bit. I wear a mask. That's about it.
Well, awesome, Grant. It was good to have you on. It's always a pleasure talking to you. Some of your stories today were freaking amazing, so thank you. Hopefully, we can get you out again to Gdex sometime in the future, or at least when events start up, maybe we can see you at GDC again.
Yeah, I feel like I stopped going places because my wife's a teacher, And I was the kind of parent that takes a kid to school in the morning, right? She can't do that, so she leaves the house very early. So it made it hard for me to go anywhere. So I basically haven't been to any conventions for like probably 2 years, 3 years. I keep getting invited all over the place. I mean, like to Australia, all over the place, but I have to say no. So I kind of feel I need to get. As my son's 18 now, he can drive now. So he's got his own car, so he can take care of the daughter, taking her to school. So I think I might be back on the convention trail as soon as it happens again. I should be out there again. So it's been a while since I've met any people. So I do like getting out there. So yeah, I should be out again.
Awesome. Well, Grant, thank you again so much for being a part of Gdex this year.
Anytime. Thanks for asking me.
Yep. Have a great weekend.
All right, bye.